Chapter 10. The Necromancer's Offer. Eldrick Thorn sat alone in his study late one night, the crackle of the hearth fire doing little to ease the tension that had settled over him. The skeleton attacks had grown more frequent, more organized, and though the villagers had held their ground with Marcus's help, Eldrick knew it wouldn't last. His mind raced, searching for solutions to protect Eldergrove from the increasing threat. But nothing he could muster seemed sufficient. As he leaned over his desk, his thoughts heavy, a sudden chill swept through the room. The flames in the hearth flickered and dimmed, casting long, unnatural shadows on the walls. Eldrick froze, his instincts warning him of the dark magic now filling the air. Slowly, he turned toward the far corner of the room, where the shadows seemed to swirl together, coalescing into a darker, denser mass. A voice, cold and menacing, echoed through the chamber. Eldrick Thorn. The elder straightened, swallowing his fear. He knew at once who it was. The necromancer, Thaler Voss. His voice slithered into Eldrick's mind, dripping with dark intent. "You've been struggling, old man," Thaler hissed, his tone laced with mockery. "Your precious village has been on the brink of collapse, its defenses weakening despite your little champion, Marcus." Eldrick remained silent, gripping the edge of his desk tightly. His heart pounded in his chest, but he didn't dare speak yet. He knew better than to engage with such a powerful force unprepared. "I know what you fear," Thaler continued, his voice now soft and persuasive. "You fear the destruction of Eldergrove, the collapse of everything you've built, the loss of your power, your influence. But it doesn't have to end that way." Eldrick's jaw clenched. "What do you want?" The shadows shifted, and Thaler's form became slightly more defined, though still wreathed in darkness. "I want Marcus and the vial." Eldrick's breath caught. He had suspected that the skeletons were after Marcus, but now, hearing it confirmed sent a wave of dread through him. "And if I refuse?" he asked, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at him. Thaler's laughter filled the room, low and sinister. "Then you will face the full might of my undead horde." "You think these attacks have been bad?" The necromancer's voice deepened, becoming more threatening. "They were but a fraction of what I can unleash. Eldergrove will burn, and you will watch as your people fall, one by one." A cold sweat broke out on Eldrick's brow. He wanted to resist, to stand strong for his village, but he could feel the weight of Thaler's power pressing down on him, threatening to crush everything he had built. Still, he remained defiant. "And if I give you Marcus?" The shadows seemed to pulse with dark energy. "Then I will spare your village. The undead will vanish from your lands, and Eldergrove will know peace once more." Thaler's voice softened again, dripping with temptation. "More than that, I can offer you power, wealth, and influence beyond your wildest dreams. You will no longer be a forgotten village elder, scraping to protect your tiny corner of the world. You will have dominion over others, your name spoken with respect and fear. All I ask is that you deliver Marcus and the vial to me." Eldrick hesitated. The offer was vile, but it was seductive. He had spent his life protecting this village, and now it was hanging by a thread. Could he really sacrifice Marcus to save everyone? Could he betray the young man who had risked his life for Eldergrove? Sensing his uncertainty, Thaler pressed on. "You will have 3 days of peace," he said, his voice now a whisper, tantalizing. "As a gesture of goodwill, I will cease the attacks for 3 full days. In that time, you will prepare Marcus for my arrival. I will send 2 of my finest to collect him and the vial. In exchange, your people will be safe, and you will have power beyond anything you've ever known." Eldrick's mind raced. The village could survive, flourish even. And Marcus? Marcus had brought this danger to their doorstep. Perhaps, Eldrick reasoned, it wasn't so wrong to give him up. He had no other solution, no other way to protect Eldergrove from being wiped off the map. "I'll do it," Eldrick said finally, his voice barely more than a whisper. "But the village cannot know. I won't risk my position or their trust." Thaler's shadowy form shifted, and the necromancer's voice oozed with satisfaction. "Of course. You're a clever man, Eldrick. I knew you'd see reason." The chill in the room deepened as Thaler's form began to dissipate. You have 3 days, he reminded the elder. Then my agents will come for Marcus. Underscore, 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 underscore. In the days that followed, the attack stopped completely. Elder Grove breathed a collective sigh of relief, the villagers believing that the worst was behind them. Eldrick, however, could find no such peace. He hated the deal he had made, hated that he had given in to the necromancer's demands, but he couldn't deny the flicker of excitement that had crept into his thoughts. Power, wealth, influence. Perhaps giving up Marcus wasn't so terrible after all. Now, he needed a plan to hand over Marcus without arousing suspicion. Eldrick knew that the guards, especially Thane and Alara, were growing fond of the young man, and any sudden disappearance would raise questions. He couldn't afford that. After careful thought, Eldrick concocted a plan. He would invite Marcus to the village hall under the guise of a private meeting to discuss the village's defense. There, he would offer Marcus a drink, one laced with a powerful sleeping draught. Once Marcus was incapacitated, it would be easy to hand him over to the necromancer's henchmen when they arrived. Eldrick would stage the entire event to make it look as though Marcus had chosen to leave the village, claiming he had unfinished business in the ruins where he had first encountered the skeletons. It was a simple enough plan. Once Marcus was gone, the villagers would eventually move on. Elder Grove would prosper, and Eldrick would rise to greater heights than he had ever imagined. He could feel the dark promises of power beckoning him closer, and though he hated what he was about to do, part of him relished the prospect. All that remained was to wait for Thaler's agents to arrive.